I'm Parrish, and I want to welcome you to our program and the presentation tonight that I'm giving. I feel it's an exciting and wonderful time that's taking place in our world today. I know we have a lot of challenges, but I also know that it's a wonderful time that we're making a quantum leap in consciousness and a definite leap in the very fact of what humanity is to be in the future. Okay, we know that the things we fear is just false evidence appearing real. Ever hear that? Well, what does that mean? Because whatever that is, it zaps our energy and it gives us the sense of futility or exhaustion or fatigue. And it pulls us out of the race or out of the game. Okay, so pay attention to the fact that what we're going to be talking about then is false evidence that appears real and some of the effects of that on us. There'll always be support and challenges. That is the principle of duality. We live in this field of duality. So obviously we have a left and right brain hemisphere. Obviously then we have a creative side, a logic side, and all of that truly supports us. But also in that brain, that beautiful, magnificent thing that sits up there atop of it all, there is definitely a place in it that definitely supports the negative reactions and the negativity that we experience in our life. So it doesn't make us a bad person, a wrong person, or even a harmful person. It's just that that's the way the brain functions. It does have negative tendencies, and it brings up the negative that's in us as well as the positive. And then the blend of that actually comes about helping us evolve and moves us forward. Okay, we hear, no matter what else it could be to us or whatever supports our beliefs, like when we say something is incurable, okay, we automatically go to our own definition of that, okay? But did you and could you just consider that incurable means healing within incurable? Okay, so then everything that we really need to have the fulfillment of our vision is right there within us. And as we work through the challenges and we come through the positive and negative effects that we do go through, the mind will create a challenge. It will bring up the so-called devil's advocate, it will actually challenge your commitment and their focus on things. So instead of making it bad, we begin to just be masters of it and consider it and take it into change, which is exactly what the great masters of our history has done. Change for the greater vision happens when we hear and observe how we're talking to ourselves, our thinking, okay? Brain research has shown over and over again that the mind is like a magnet and it attracts all of its physical realities to exactly the way it's putting out thought. Okay, so there's a vibrational field around us that we call the electromagnetic field. And whatever the particular charge is that we're putting into that field actually becomes that magnet and attracts to us the experiences that we need, either to propel us forward because we're being reluctant, or to just coincide with the adventure we make of our challenges as we know that we are headed for greater growth and the fulfillment of a vision. It's still up to us, beloveds. Now, we have to think about what we go through emotionally in these times. And beloveds, please hear this. Where is God not? If we say one of the sacred expressions of God is creator, then everything that is created, including us and some of the things that we do, okay, it's all within that. So there is always that presence, that abiding love and presence. Like I said, beloveds, where is God not? You're always in the field of energy that allows and creates as you ask and believe. So it's just part of our process. Love is infinite and is the wisdom of health, wealth, and happiness. Okay, what is the universal law of attraction, you ask me? Well, we are thinking all the time about that, aren't we? So most of us do not have conscious awareness of our thoughts. And then the results of our thoughts influence and determine how we see our environment and world, our lives, our decisions. Our world emerges according to our value system. So that's how we get whatever action that we go into, and that's whatever feelings that comes from that, and then that's where our beliefs are formed. So the law of attraction is purely that which comes to us reflects what we're thinking. So we live the reality of our thinking. We can attract infinite possibilities. So why don't we consider that along our trail of other things and our doubts and our thinking? We can consciously focus on what we really love, and we can attract that to our lives. Why does it sound so easy, you say? Yeah, I've been there. Okay. When we look at life, we think of the world around us, and we think of all the influences of what is around us. So life, the world, the global family, all of that's part of what we are a part of. And then we have to see ourselves and propel ourselves into practices and manners of study that actually help us then advance ourselves out from the little box that we've put ourselves in and become masters of our own thinking. Thoughts do become things. I've been doing brain research and study of the mind and personal transformation and sciences of the beliefs of biology, the whole thing for 55 years now. I've taught in universities and all over this world. Okay, I don't have a formal education. I am self-taught. I've involved myself in formal educations here and there throughout my life as I was interested. Okay, but the very things that we have not faced if we're not seeing the reality and completion of our visions is that we're not quite clear now what that means. Thoughts become things. Well, that's exactly what the law of attraction does. It says that what we're thinking sends out that magnetic pull in the environment, and then it attracts back to us the reality in that environment that we want to believe, that is usually critical or demeaning or not giving to us the direction and the reflex that we need to go on. Okay, so listening to this presentation says that you've determined to come forward now and take action and change for the greater happiness of your life. That's exciting to me. When people come to that place, I just love to be with people like that. I really don't have enough tolerance, patience for people who just play victim and whine and cry and blame about everything. I think that I'm trying to still at 73 master that. So I really get all kicked up and high over being with people who have made the decision that it's now and it's time to make that decision in their life. You no longer have to just react to the environment influences that distract you from your vision and goals. You use the intelligence, the intuitiveness of your natural state to control how it unfolds. You can think and focus on what your reality is, or you can think and focus on what you want the reality to be. And you also need to be real clear. What do you really want, and who do you really want to be? I've been influenced by powerful masters and geniuses of my life, ongoing, story after story. I really began my pursuit in this world at the knee of a woman of Cherokee birth and blood. Her example of love, acceptance, adventure has empowered me to a life of dreams and happiness. It really has. My challenges have been acceptance, and I have had to face the fact of being born as a mixed blood child in Native community, and even today the fairness of my complexion and hair often makes me a target for bitterness and historical wrongs. So basically what I had to do was find that in myself. And she nurtured and administered to that. And everything that she did and every example she did showed the acceptance of all things in life. And always she was totally in sync with the opposites. In fact, we have what we call the medicine wheel or the sun wheel. And it actually shows the opposites. It's a wheel of opposites so that we can always see in the center the harmonies that comes from the embracing of those opposites. So we know if we are sitting in the place of love, that can exist only if there's hate. So across the wheel, we're going to actually look into that and accept that in this state of love, we are obviously in the environment as well of hate. If there's night, there's day. And I know that that gets kind of pretty well to the point, but that's basically what we're talking about here. And in my life, that come very natural, being in the support system of just having elders and people who think like that all the time. It's just a way of native thinking. We think in circles. Yet the whole base of my upbringing was appreciation and gratitude instead of focusing on the abuse and the bitterness. It really was. I learned the power of challenges, and then as I grew and all things come to be, in all the times that we shared together, I had to learn self-acceptance, kindness in the face of that abuse. And I know that that's not easy. I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods that says, oh, just get over it, it's just going to be that easy. No, I had to go to what I believed. I had to go to what I trusted that she had shown me. I had to go to knowing that once I instilled that and followed that, that I had the results inside myself that I needed. That I was still this happy, jovial, loving kid, that I could play, that I could find definitely all sorts of entertainment and love in nature, and that given the time that the bitterness would reside, its acceptance of me began to happen as well. Okay, I've served the whole world with a heart of joy for over 50 years now, never given up or hating or disapproving of anyone's path to enlightenment and success. I've looked at it all and realized inside it is the individuality that our fingerprint guarantees each one of us to have anyway. I learned early in life, as I think and love, that is how I will have my creations. Okay, my creations being my day, my relationships, my world. At my grandmother's side, I unfolded to a love of humanity and an awareness of the invisible world that surrounds us. I found in that myself, in everything. Thus today, most people will say that I'm a mystic because of that. I see that as just the natural inclination of each one of us to expand into the all-knowing at whatever time we can actually face the empowerment of that. I do not believe in God. Beliefs can be challenged. I know God. I know God. To this day, I have explained as a perennial student and have come to completion of many pathways that my beliefs didn't get me there. It's what I learned and what I knew. I went to studies and served in labs and all kinds of business investors and stuff to just learn, and in that learning it continued to help me validate the wisdoms of my people's ways, the ancient ways. The sciences helped me find ways of words to share this wisdom, to bring into that the ability to have it available to all humanity. I've taken a lifetime of just involving myself as deep as I wanted to go into the sciences of physics, mind and brain studies, biology, chemistry, and cosmology. I went into theology and the ancient cultures of civilization to help me find a means of commonality amongst us as humanity. And the understanding of how passing on of the magnificent origins of where we began brings us to today and present, that each one of us is the accumulation of all that. And it was all purposeful to make sure we're here today. So when we come to seeing what is the actual purpose of life, and when we seek to know that purpose, and in that we have to actually look into all the principles then that makes up the experience of what we have. Along my life now at 73 years old, I found that no matter where I have to travel, and most of my life has been spent in travels, I mean, there are years and years, there's been less than 30 days at a time in my homeland or at my home base. I had only discovered what grandmother and my elders gave me right from the beginning in the whole world of universal thought with nature and all life. So the adventures have only made the beginnings for me stronger, and all the challenges and abuse, love has prevailed. So we can all have our stories of some part of our past, or maybe even some really horrendous beginnings. But right now, present, where you're at and where I'm at, that decision has to be Does that get us to where we want to be? Does that fulfill the vision of how we want to live our lives out? So today my joy is to see the lights come on in others and see the resolving of suffering and victimization. I live in fulfillment, meant of giving and opportunity after opportunity to actually sometimes be the intervention that helps people stop the downward spiral and gets them back into a stable place. Opportunity of money, be it wealth, be it relationship, be it whatever, actually is there for us each equally if we want it. And that's what we have to come to accept, that it's there equally for each one of us. Okay, the field of energy that we're in is an equal base to work from. Again, it is our thoughts that separate us. And so when we begin to look into our stories and we begin to say, yeah, but it was pretty bad here and it was pretty bad there. Yeah, we could talk about that if you want to, but it would be a waste, wouldn't it? It would be a true waste. We're living the dream, beloveds. That dream is infinite possibilities. You have here today and here now to understand what you can do and possibly are maybe already doing. Some of you have already mastered mind talk, to know the power of your mind, to live your vision now, present time being, all of that now, okay? Listening to how you're talking to yourself, how much of what you're thinking is just reiterating your childhood patterns and your environmental programs as an early child. Are you ready to step out of that and go into higher ground? You have actually been programmed because of the repetitions of what those years between birth and maybe 7 and 8 years old. Over and over again, we see that as we do the studies of the brain and we research and find out where people are in mind. You're living that repetition right now. It still resides in our subconscious, even mine. And when anything comes up, maybe a certain situation kind of stimulates some of those old feelings, then that gives me the challenge of knowing what I'm truly about and real. You know, am I walking my talk? So in living those repetitions, how much are you feeling right now that's still from there and not what is real in your life? Are you really looking around and understanding what you could be grateful for? What's buried in our subconscious mind? Well, there's many, many stories there. And in most cases, we have no longer any active memory, but are still living it in its effects on us. Those feelings, those emotions, those blind spots that come up in the middle of something, and we later look back at it and say, what was that all about? You know, how did that happen? If you do not have health, wealth, and happiness at the level of your desires, then it still holds you to that time. Come present. Get in present time. What is it that you want? Not to to start thinking about the past. Let's not drag it up. It's already been spent enough. What we want to do is, what is your passion right now? The what is it that you want to have right now? You need only focus on the what. Don't go to the how. Don't start worrying about, well, how am I going to do that? Focus and put your energy and your total thinking pattern. Put thinking into the what. Create situations to where you actually can go places. Say you are looking forward to a trip to Italy. You know, you'd want to start eating in a lot of Italian restaurants. You'd want to go into Italian areas maybe in your cities or your environments. You'd want to get in touch with it, the smell, the feel, the texturing of it as much as you can. And stay preoccupied there, daydream there all the time. And that begins to create the attraction that brings you to the close reality of making that choice of going there. It's really that simple if we wanted to, okay? Research shows that if we do not determine to make these changes, okay, from the habits of all of the old particular frames of thinking and the particular background, that by the time we're 35 years old, we are very hardwired, and we will begin to live again our parents' life in our early environment. I don't know about you, but that's scary to me. So I don't want that to happen. So for me, it's like, okay, I want to go into what is available to me and what's my purpose. Why do I have this single identity in my fingerprint that's different than anyone else's? What is that? And in the pursuit of that, finding what fulfills my life and what turns me on. If you begin right now today to write and journal everything you remember of your early life, okay, all of, particular things that happened. Sometimes as you begin to think about this thing that happens, or suddenly another stimulus comes up and another thing's there. Don't try to put it in chronological order. Just write it all out and just get it out on paper. Okay? Wait 4 days. Don't read it for 4 days. Okay? Highlight when you come back on the 4th day and you start to read it. Highlight what you recognize that you still emotionally and personally feel and come back to in the present. To draw up your plan after that is to see where you want to go in the story that you want to create. And then you have to start just, actually creating scripts. You have now got more familiar with some thinking processes that you do, and it has sort of been unconsciously or just habitually done. So now's a good time then to write a script to change that. And you have to keep these scripts very close and at hand. And you know that in certain circumstances with certain people and relationships that you do these things and it doesn't go the way you really wish it to go. Okay? Now's when you get the script. And you hold yourself to that script. And you hold it and you hold it until the repetitions of holding it then become natural. And all of a sudden you find yourself to be this person that you really have come to respect and appreciate. You can do it. The matter is, will you do it? Okay? You set your goals to present whatever it is you want in your passions. And I also know that there are many of out there that'll say, GMP, I don't really know what my passion is. Okay, well then there's other things that we do. Just go to my website and things, and there's little downloads you can make to help you determine how do you get to finding your passions, okay? But you want to plan an outcome to yourself, okay? You look at your family, relationships, your community, your municipality, your state, your nation, our world, and beyond, and go into the universal thinking of what we are as a being. We have to come out of just looking at ourselves as this little minute body with just body sensory perception. Your electromagnetic field is huge, as much as 10 feet from whatever core that body is. You are 99.99913 later energy. That's your everlasting being. This physical body makes up only something as small as a mustard seed in that field of energy and reality of what you are. And it's only and less than 1% of what you really are. So does it expend itself in time? Yes, it can. But even then, we're taught that, aren't we? How do we explain that there's records and actually documentation of people who live to be 800, 1,000 years and older? We're conditioned, and I know right now what the stats are because I'm working with people in Social Security, that the stat out there right now says that that the majority of people will die by the time they're 75. Well, if you believe that, guess what? You're bringing that about. You hear on the news that there's going to be a slump in the economy, and everybody reacts to that. And what do we create? The slump in the economy. This is us. This is what we're doing. There's the puppeteers that are pulling the strings that kind of put the information or the whatever out there in the field. We grab it, we take it, we make it real, and then it begins to have its impact on our lives and what we have. But right now, if you decided that you wanted to actually make some change, I invite you to not think about that 75 years, but to look at whatever age you are right now. Doesn't matter what that is. And look to living and setting goals for the next 100 years. You have to look beyond where you want to really be. Even further than that, you have to reach. The tendency will always be to resonate and withdraw and settle. We want to stop that at energy. So now you're thinking as the mental mortal popses that you are, okay, well, how can I possibly think about that? And what does that actually give me in a sense of being better and getting what I want and all these other things? Well, it says that if you begin to believe that you're too old or that at this time in your life most of your opportunity has passed, beloveds, that's the reality you'll live. So basically, I'm inviting you to move past that, to move to a place to where that doesn't become, excuse me there a minute, that it doesn't become the reality that you can have right now. And so we don't want to have age and the factor of age in there, so you just reach way out beyond that. And the truths being, as we evolve in what we already know, we will soon see that life begins and ends wherever we set the margins. Okay, I want to quote a Roman poet who was Seneca. He was born in 3 BC and passed in 65 AD. And Seneca said, "You measure an individual by their most distant ends." By their most distant ends. So, there's many people out there that are teaching you need to dream bigger than what you can think right now. And I support that. I support that. What I learned in finances is in businesses that set their financial goals at this particular amount, they always fell short anywhere from 10 to 20, 25%. So when I started seeing that show up repetitively and over, I just decided, okay, when I'm training them and we're working on their budgets and things, I'm going to take them a good 50% or 100% beyond what it is that they really think they want. So I did that. Every one of them went way beyond whatever that margin was. And it was 100%. It was just the way they were thinking. As they began to think they were getting closer to wherever that margin or wherever that target was, they began to let off the energy and the drive. And as soon as you do that, you go stay just about right where you're at. So if you wanted to be a person who actually had impact and actually made a difference in your life right now, you would want to not just think of yourself, but think of your family. You would want to look around to those that make up whatever your day is and know that you have to begin to be a different person there than you can possibly be just to yourself. So if I want to do something in my day-to-day thinking and my month-to-month life, okay, and however I'm allowing time to manipulate me and age me as well, then I have to start thinking beyond that. Like I said, sit here with you today at 73, and I'm still making plans as a 20 and a 30-year-old woman. And I don't plan on stopping that. When people say to me, I can't believe you, I can't believe that you're 73 or this or that, or even my own children that says, Mom, aren't you thinking about retirement? It's like, absolutely not. I want to have every moment of my possibilities. I want everything. I mean, my studies in my whole career was based on so many different educational pathways that sometimes when I talk to people about them, they can't believe it. And it was all because of, I just wanted it. I had the enthusiasm. I had the interest. I just wanted to know. And then before you know it, you have your counselor or somebody saying to you, what degree are you going for and where do you want to use this? It's like, never was about a degree. The credentials don't give me peace. It's the knowledge and the wisdom. And so if we want to make a difference and an impact on our world, at whatever level you want to do that, then you have to begin to think just to the next level of that. If I want to make an impact on my world, okay, then I have to think universally. And I have to go where science and research can help me go that takes me beyond even the realms of our world and our earth and our planet. So we have to then give ourselves permission, don't we? We have to not only give ourselves permission, we have to actually have acceptance of that. So to accomplish change and to reach an impact that we have set our sights on and our goals, and we want to go further out there than ever before, we have to personally change and have, know what my desire is, to set my impact to my family and to who and what I want it to be. If I want to make a difference in the family, then I'm going to need to reach out as far as my community. See, family and community. So I'm going to have to go to the next circle or the next realm of what that is. If I want to have a calling to make a difference in the community, then I'm going to have to go to what? The city. I'm going to have to look to my city and what can I do in my city. If I want to have impact in my city, I'm going to have to look what can I do in my state. And if I want to do in my state, what can I do in my nation? Okay, and in my nation, what can I do in the world? And from what can I do in the world, I'm going to look to what can I do beyond this world? Where can I go outside of time and space? And that's possible, and there's lots of information to help us get into that mind frame. My vision was always the world, and the planet was personal to me. She has always been Mother Earth to me. And all of my life here has come to the desire and the passion to be one with all creation. And in doing that, it's made me a universal being. And yes, I have experiences way, way beyond the norm. Yes, and I do have people who can't believe what those experiences are. That doesn't matter to me. You cannot allow other people to set the ceiling of what you can do and where you can be. Look at our history. All of our heroes and all of the greatness of people who have actually done extraordinary things and contributed to us as a humanity and as a world, they all went through extreme criticism. Many of them ended up in jails or burned at the stake or crucified or somehow or another made heretics in their time. Only today to be realized as a pace setter and someone who thought out of the box and brought humanity and our world to a greater awareness of its reality. So who are you going to go ask if they are all right with what you're doing? Who are you going to ask opinions of on what your goals are? In most cases, what people do, they go ask for such reflection from people who are in the same state or in a worse state or lower than what their ambitions are. And then they begin, and I have them come to me in great numbers. Well, I don't know, my husband really didn't agree, or, my wife thinks I'm crazy, and she thinks that I'm, trying to get a divorce, or whatever. So you have to work through that. That's a challenge. And remember, the challenge only measures the greatness and the value of what we really are going for. If I get opposition, I'm simply going to look at it and say, okay, what have I not considered? What, if anything, have I kind of given a slight overview of? What's the signal here? So when I'm looking to actually explore things beyond time and space, I'm surely not going to go talk to the person who only can do a 9-to-5 day in a Sunday religion. So you have to ask yourself, are you associating with people that actually give you the momentum to keep going in what you're looking for? People who really don't need to have an opinion about your vision. Are you working in groups and organizations that says, hey, what do you want it to be? Take it wherever you want it to be. And respect you for your vision, to maybe not even be able to give you encouragement because they can't fathom it itself, but to have the respect to say, if you believe that's what you really want, you go for it. So in what the changes are that we have to go through, we do have to look at associations. We do have to look and make sure that our associations and where we spend our thinking time and who we spend that with is actually in very much understanding as well as encouragement to where we're going with that. So you're going to have to look where people have bigger vision, beloveds. You're going to have to get into the material and the books that take you there. I would say to you that more than anything, do the experiential path. You probably have read so many books at this time. If you had taken one paragraph out of any one of those books, you would be how much further today than anywhere. You just keep reading. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about taking action, setting goals, planning and making them happen. sticking to the focus regardless of whether you have support from neighboring entities or whether your environment is not quite there yet. Just hold the focus. So your thinking leads you to studies of the macro. Okay, when you get into the bigger thinking, you go to the microscopic level of things. It's quantum physics now. It's everywhere. It's been out for over 100 years. Why all of a sudden is it the thing? Because nobody read it. It is not taught in the schools. It was not given out to much public notice. But now quantum physics is everywhere. What amazes me is still the high number of people who really don't accept it. And it's like, you don't have to accept it. It proves itself over and over. It doesn't really need your approval to work. You know what I mean? So, but it's still the reluctance of that. And if you're looking to be expansive in thought and you have people like that around you, it's going to impair and bring bigger challenges. So at least spend some of your time in groups and organizations and activities that actually help you get some exposure and greater awareness of the things that you truly want to have. So your thinking leads you to studies of these micro levels, and then in that microscopic and quantum level of things, you then can bring that energy to the macro level, which is the larger massive form of matter, and see the things you want in life. And there's nothing that says, I have a friend that when I started this many, many years back, I don't even want to think, 40 years back, and we were studying the mastermind with, I think it was Jack Boleyn. And this wonderful, beautiful friend of mine, who was pretty successful on all of her other levels and everything, she just, I think she did it more for a test, but she said to me, you know what I want? You know what I truly, truly want? And I said, no. And she says, a gold toothpick. And at first I didn't react at all because I was waiting for her to say, ha, 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 She didn't. And I looked at her face. I said, you're serious? And she said, yes. I would love to have a golden toothpick. She said, so that I could feel like a queen and feel like royalty. And she went through all of her whatever's on it. And I'm just sitting there looking. And I realized, okay, I want to smile at her while she's doing this. I want her to know that if that really makes her as happy as I see her right now, I want her to have that. So I said to her, well, I witnessed this desire and this goal with you. And believe me, I'm going to help in any way I can with that. Go for it. Go for it. Sure enough, in about 90 days, she asked me out for lunch, and I said yes. And I says, what's our occasion? Or are we just getting together to do our girl thing? And she says, no, it's a celebration. And I said, celebration of what? She says, you'll see. So we have lunch, and we're sitting there after lunch, and she pulls out of her purse this beautiful little ornate case. And she handed one to me, and she kept one. And she opened hers up, and she took out her perfect little gold toothpick and began to pick the front of her teeth. And I looked in mine, and I had one. We did it, and I know that we had to look like little girls to anybody else, should they have been watching. But we had such a hoot over that. I mean, I had no desire for that, but I still had my little gold toothpick. Okay? And I watched from that point that she made extraordinary impact in her ministry. She wanted to be a unity minister, and she aced that, and she went on to write and do beautiful things. When we kind of pass in our travels now, we both laugh about that gold toothpick. And you have to look at right now, who is there to tell you that what you're saying you want more than anything else right now, and they don't know the story you have around that's just silly. That's worthless, that don't make anything. It's not going to feed any starving children in China or someplace. I mean, people just say that stuff. You cannot be subject to that. You have to go beyond that and be there with people who says, hey, go for it. Maybe I don't understand all that you get out of that, but that's the point here. You get it out of that. This is what you want, and that they agree that you're entitled to have that. So it's good to have people around you that see that, and that change involves our choice, and that we have to have people around us that respects that this is our choice, and that they can love us and be with us and allow it. Research and exploring of all matter and energy is opening reality minute to minute, beloveds. What we know today will evolve tomorrow as our ability to explore grows and grows and grows. We are doing time travel right now. Not something you can study in science fiction anymore. And our scientists are doing time travel. Some people have actually said that the reason we no longer feel the need to send shuttles to the moon is because we don't have to go by shuttle anymore. So time travel is actually a part of what we're doing. We have, cloning happening right now, and it started with, needing different cellular matter to bring about healing and to help people through some pretty serious situations. Okay, I'd like you to look again to what I shared earlier, that as we look into all possibility, we need to look at how we define certain words. And when we say something is incurable, if we simply said it differently, incurability. So within ourselves are all those answers. So when we're looking at cloning, what I see and what I'm already pretty much involved with is definitely the church's reaction to that cloning, and how religions are not being at all okay with what that brings on and what that suggests. I don't really know where I'm at with it as far as needing to have an opinion and I, no matter how else anybody else may feel about it, I don't feel that in any way it threatens the belief in an outstanding oneness of love, as whatever our sacred name for that one might be it God or whatever. Okay? So that we're looking at that, we're going to have to put those things in place, because it has and is being done right now. Those particular challenges, which means religious beliefs can't find a place to be all right or fit with that. Now it's acceptable to have your pet or an animal cloned. Beloveds, do you really believe that they stopped at animals and pets? No, they have not. And we shut down the information we could have by actually not looking at where that is. And yes, right now, all that has been stopped is the public information on it, not the research. So whenever we make those particular divisions or whatever challenges to it, okay, it doesn't really stop. Technology is moving so fast, you have no idea how far advanced it is. There was a good 10 or 15 years between when you got to have a laptop computer and a photograph was taken with Richard Nixon sitting at a table with a laptop. So there's so much already going on in our world. Technology is the future. Wherever we're looking at, technology is the future. Now, in all of my travels and my studies in theology, I realize that all the ancient cultures that our scriptures are based on and include, okay, actually speak of much of this, but then we minimize it and we hold it to a different conclusion or definition in order to fit and hold to where we're at presently in whatever mode of thinking and allowing that is. So that's one of the things that we're looking at. 2014 is coming at us very fast and will bring those changes to reality very, very fast. So we're looking now at facing, okay, where do we go with all that has been put forward, and where will we use that? Well, we have to use that now to actually realize that we're creating a history, and that history says that we can do this in this way and take these principles to heart and manifest exactly what we can. So that there's frontiers opening in health, and the alternative healths are involved totally on the studies of energy. So a lot of that old Star Trek stuff that you Trekkies have looked at, where Bones runs around with some little gadget and kind of heals all kinds of stuff. That's already being done as well. Okay, right now I know of the fact that there is And you might want to go look at that. Look up on the internet the Greek test, Greek like in Greece, okay? And that those studies actually have that they take a blood test now with whatever stage of cancer or diseasement your body is in. They can find what the codes and tones of that is, and then they can create what they're calling a vaccine, which is really like a chip that actually goes in and resets your cellular mass in order to meet the harmonies of well-being, and it dissolves and takes out all of the diseasements. Okay, that's already here. That's already been here. Okay, and we're looking at where are we in the face of all that? Well, large conglomerates and corporations that feel that's going to impose on their profit margins holds a lot of that in the dark. Well, as you evolve to your passions and your all-knowing state, that's less effective, isn't it? So you lifting yourself in consciousness is exactly where we're going in evolution. And inevitably, each one of us will have to face that and actually come to wherever we are with that in our lives at this time. So your choice to actually be here with me tonight and actually discuss some of this is actually your decision that you're ready for that next step. And with all my heart, I tell you, you go for that. You stand in for that, and you start where you're at right now. And that's to take some of what we've discussed here, kind of ponder over it with your mind and where you're at with it. It's nice to journal through that and to begin to meditate and to focus in meditation. Meditation helps your brain actually come to a place of maintaining a longer span of time in focus. So meditation definitely brings us to where we want to be as far as mind expanding. So depending on who you are and your social environment and people around you, you may find it a bit more challenging to follow some of the things that we have discussed here tonight, okay? So look at where you're at and look at where you want to be. If you're looking for money in your life, then you need to really be focusing on where money is. All the people I know that have money because they think about it all the time. And I find a lot of people who definitely don't have money that say that these are just greed mongers, these are this, these are that. And it's like, no, because you don't have it doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't have it. Okay? And here's what I need you to hear. We have infinite possibilities. All of our research and sciences show us we have infinite possibilities. So it doesn't matter how much money Bill Gates has. Doesn't matter how much money anybody else has. You know, I hear people telling me, you know, this person, several people come, this person's the wealthiest person in the world, and that just shows greed, and it's like, no, I deal with some of those people, and they're very generous. Okay, so you really want to realize if you are sitting there having that problem, where's your focus? I have people who come to me and constantly say that they don't feel seeking money or having wealth is spiritual. Okay, all right. What I know as who I am and what I have learned in my life, everything is spiritual. We don't have to go nowhere and do anything to be spiritual. We are spirit. We are energy. And energy is spirit. Okay? And then when we say, okay, but, you know, I asked them to explain spiritualness and religion can be different. Sometimes it complements, but it can be different. And then they begin to say, well, you know, they don't really meditate. They don't really do any of the things that I do. They don't go to the programs. They don't go to this. Oh, really? So basically, why do you feel that they're very materialistic? Well, you know, they work and that's all they look at, and they're focused all the time on their business, and, you know, none of these things actually are interested in, you know, they're not interested in. Okay? And then I share this with a whole lot of what I consider, you know, major empowerment people. And I ask these people every time, so do I understand that this person is diligent and goes to work every day? Yes. So they're dedicated. Yes. But they're not spiritual. No. Okay. And in the work that they do, they bring home money and they actually take care of you so you can go to all of these things and have your studies, correct? Yes. Good to the children too, yes. Okay. And do they hire or do they have employees? Yes. Are they good to their employees? Yes. So they're actually creating jobs that allows other people to have a good life. Yes. Okay. And they work at it to make sure that all is kept well and they're good keepers. Yes. I think they're a very spiritual person and they're doing what makes a difference. So you have to really look at yourself if you have these money issues with people. You know, what are you going on that says that money is a detriment to your spirituality? What are you reading and looking at that can actually give you proof of that? That is not real. Okay, so then you look at health. Here's the thing that we believe, and here's what these new findings are in research that's happening with healing. Energy healing says that we're energy, and energy has no need to concern itself with anything called diseasements. Energy, it can be congested, it can be rerouted, it can be changed, and there is wholeness. If you're looking at where you want to be, where is that in relationship? And how does relationship come about? Relating to a person means what? Allowing that person to share with you their dreams, their vision, and in relationship means relating in action. So how do we relate? Well, we allow, we support, we encourage, we're kind. We can ask for understanding. If we can get it, that's great. If we can't, then we need to not start discouraging anybody. So to be a master of mind, we have to see the challenge of the opposites and the gift. Both must exist for there to be a materialization and a manifestation. So we want to be with people who think like that. The brain will always present negative opportunity. It's made that way. It isn't you being not pure enough, not good enough, unworthy, because all of a sudden you felt very overwhelmed by something negative. It's you recognizing it and realizing at this moment the challenge only is for you to bring solution to that. To come to a place to where you don't go and be destructive or abusive to you, yourself, or anyone else with it. That challenge motivates and pushes you to what you've been ignoring. So we accept it with appreciation and gratitude because those are the principles that make all things harmonious. And in that, love is present. The opportunity is not to stop or destroy the negative, but to know it has its place in the scheme of things. Okay? So expect it. Plan for it. Move past it. Be a good, strategist. That strategist has to look and be a master of seeing all that is present and realizing that all that has to be put in right placement and worked with. So if we have a script and we write out our goals and we make our scripts off the goal, and in our goal we know where most of our holes are, where we might fall into that old hole of habitual behavior, then we can script it. And even the fact that we've wrote the script and we have it on us actually draws more energy and attention to it so that we can use it to get ourselves past those places. The perfect harmony is love. And the perfect harmony exists in the opposites when they come together and when one actually is complementary of the other's existence. Once our world gets that, we're going to really have something to talk about, aren't we? So both are needed, and we need to look at taking out of our vocabularies then wrong and right, good and bad. And if you start thinking outside that right now, then you begin to be a good strategist, and where your strategies will take you is to the success that you can have and what your birthright is, and that's health, wealth, and happiness. So I hope you begin to see the beauty of your being and use it. Use the intelligence that all of us have and all is born with. and let your thinking be that that attracts all in our world to a greater lifting of consciousness and well-being. I thank you so very, very much for being with me this evening and look forward to you clicking on some of the links that you'll see on some of the sites so that you can get some of the material that we've put out there. Meanwhile, keep in touch, and I wish you all the wonderful greetings of this season. Love you. Bye-bye.